the Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking college football, and it is week number 4. It is the corner pole of the college football season, and it's an exciting time. We got a great afternoon slate of games coming up this Saturday, and Fresh and I will be on the road for our very first time. I'm joined by my co-host, the man that asked to stop singing Wonderwall, and he just said maybe. He's the one that saves me. Fresh, how you doing, buddy?
Really excited. We have an underrated week of football this week. There's no Ohio State, no Georgia playing, but the slate of games actually pretty solid top to bottom. We had a tough time coming up with only 5 games here today. We could have done 7, 8, 9 games, maybe even 10. So there is a load, and I really decided to dive into the action that we have coming up this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, folks, before we get rolling through this episode, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified every single time we drop a new episode. And most importantly, especially this weekend, make sure you are following the Irrational Confidence Podcast on social media. Follow us on the X, on the Twitter. We are going to be live and in person this weekend at the UCF North Carolina game. We'll be on campus. We'll be at the game. So make sure you follow that. We're not previewing the game. We're saving that for social media. So that'll be a social media special. So if you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe to Saturday. We will have content for you all Saturday long. I guarantee we'll probably even have some trip content where we are driving in the car, and I'm sure that there will be some entertaining stuff. We'll also be joined by our producer, Drew, our legal eagle, King, and our former show model, my father. It's going to be a good time.
Full crew coming together. It's going to be a fun time down there. Watching Bill Belichick and the Gold Digger take on Scott Frost and the Knights of UCF. Or if you refer to in Central Florida, Scott Frost actually on the Jets when Bill Belichick was the coach for a very brief time, by the way. There's a team picture. So interesting little back there, but we'll find out more on Saturday down there in Central Florida at the stadium formerly known as the Bounce House.
Yeah, it still needs to be called the Bounce House, but we'll get into that. Make sure you're following along on the socials here, but let's roll into the other games of the weekend here first. This one's kicking off at high noon. So technically, is this Mountain Time? It's like
Mountain Time, noon Eastern Standard Time. So it's big morning kickoff, not big noon kickoff.
So I kind of like this. It's the Texas Tech Red Raiders. They're ranked by the AP poll, which again, I'm not going to give any credence anymore to the AP poll now, but they're currently ranked 17th. They're 3-0. The Utah Utes, Kyle Whittingham, has them back to normal, what we normally think of Utah football. They're 3-0 as well. Classic matchup right now. Utah is a 3.5 point home favorite right now. Over under is set at 57.5. Fresh, I'm struggling to get my words out because I'm so excited to talk about Utah right now. Because here's the thing. Utah is one of the programs, we've talked about this since the time we've had this podcast. Utah is a program that both you and I have a tremendous amount of respect. We have a tremendous amount of respect for Kyle Whittingham and what he has done at a program like Utah with the amount of longevity they've had. He's taken them to BCS bowls. He's taken them to post-January 1st bowls, the New Year's Day 6 bowls. And he's won there with maybe at times lesser resources. Again, it's one of those things that we both go, we might not root for you, but we have a healthy dose of respect for that program.
Yeah, it's a great program. What he's built out there over the years, obviously has a long, illustrious history of success. Start with Auburn getting them there and him taking over and building out the past, 20 years it feels like.
Yeah.
Last year they had a clunker. Obviously had a lot of quarterback issues. Finally got it settled out with Devin Dempierre, quarterback now after had some success at New Mexico, really giving them some life in that offense. But they're still a rugged defensive football team, very polished, very focused, and stick to the basics. They are not getting too flashy for themselves. They know who they are and they play to their standard. They're a very physical football team. They execute well. And playing in Rice Eccles is a beast of all beasts for anyone who comes in there. They don't lose very often in that stadium, and they're going to hit you in the mouth when you're there. But really coming into the ball game, Texas Tech, this is your chance. I mean, the only thing I'm not going to talk X's and O's because it really doesn't matter. The one thing that really comes into play here is that there's always a super rich kid in school. Mom and dad are uber rich and everybody wants to be the kid's friend. The kid has people hanging around and everyone knows who he is, always talking to him. And it makes you ask the question, is he popular because he's rich?
Mm-hmm.
Or is he popular because he actually has a personality? He's athletic. He's smart. He can actually be his own person. Texas Tech football is right at the fork in the road right now. Are they popular to recruits and to the media and everyone else because they have tons of money? They have all that oil money. They can bring everybody in. They have Patrick Mahomes behind them with tons of money and Under Armour and whoever. And they can just fund cash and NIL deals to players left and right through the transfer portal or going out and getting 5-star number 1 overall recruits like Guyton from Savannah, who somehow chose Texas Tech over Georgia and Texas, and then among many others. Are they cool because they have tons of money to throw around, or are they cool because they're actually good at football? We're going to find out to see if they're actually good at football. We know they got tons of money. Do they have a personality? Are they tough on the offensive and defensive side of the ball? Can they actually win ball games that matter? Can the offense put together drives against elite football teams or quality football teams and get it done? Their defense has played good so far, but all that money they spent in the transfer portal to bring the kids in, will that defense show up on Saturday morning? This is not Saturday night. You got to be up and ready to go. Pre-game meal is probably 5 a.m. local time, maybe 6 a.m. Right. You do a pre-game warm-up at 8 a.m., kickoff at 10 a.m. Everyone in the country is going to be watching you. There's not many other new kickoffs that are really going to compete with this. So all the eyes are on you. It's time to put up or shut at Texas Tech. If you lose this, you're going to be fighting uphill battle in the Big 12 trying to earn a spot. If you win it, I don't care if you win it by 30 or win by 1. You come out and you take care of the business. You win the football game. You put on the show. You earn it and you get it done. That's what I want to see from this game. Are you truly a legit competitive football team? We have all this talk appreciating, Texas Tech has all this and all that. They could be a playoff contender. We're going to find out, can they even compete with Utah, much less Iowa State or TCU or Baylor or anyone else in their own conference, much less outside the league. So that's what I want to see. As our football team and Coach McGuire and your leadership, can you get it done? Eggs and kegs. This is what it's all about. Put up or shut up time. Are you super rich and popular because your parents are rich, or you actually have a quality personality and you have skills that can actually back it up and be someone who people want to be attracted to and hang out with just because you're a good person and you have discernible skills and abilities that actually can override just having money in the back pocket? In the end, I personally think Texas Tech is going to be motivated coming to this game. They're going to win this football game on the road. I'm calling it right now. Texas Tech's going to win. They're going to impress the people and put on a show. They're not going to win by 40, but they're going to find a way to be physical enough to compete with Utah. And they're going to find a way to squeak out a win and show that, yes, we are who we are. We can back up our talk.
The key thing for me, Fresh, was the first minute I saw that this number, the over-under number was under 60. I immediately said, take the over. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is going to be a shootout between Morton and Damper. And I think both of those guys are going to kind of put up and light up the scoreboard. For Utah, I've seen this story way too many times to bet against Utah and did not think that Utah is going to be successful in this football game, because 2 years ago or 3 years ago, was it? I don't know if it was last year of the Pac-12 or the year before last year of the Pac-12. USC with Caleb Williams only had to beat Utah one time. And they, within a 3-week period, they lost to them twice. And every single time, anytime people would doubt Utah and what they were able to do, doubt this program that they've built, they wind up getting punched in the mouth. I think that this is the moment where Utah kind of reminds everyone, hey, we're here in the Big 12, and we ran this thing over here. We ran the Pac-12. We got into the Big 12 here. We're going to run this show. You guys, yes, we had all these injury problems last year. We had quarterback issues. We had all sorts of issues last year that we had to deal with. And we remember a couple of years ago, we looked at Utah's record at Rice-Eccles. It is a rarity for them to lose more than 2 games or lose more than 1 game there, to lose 2 games at home. In a lot of years, they rarely lose a single game at home. That's one of the toughest places to play at in college football that is underrated here. I think that fan base, I think Utah is going to have that fan base ready to go early in the morning They don't have the same restrictions as they do over in Provo.
No.
They don't. So they're going to be going hard over here, and they're going to be going crazy. I like the Utes in this game. And again, I actually like them more than the 3.5. I kind of like them by about 6. I kind of am in that
touchdown.
I don't want like a full touchdown. I think I would like it right at 6.5.
Well, 6.5 is a touchdown. So
6.5 will be a touchdown. I'm sorry. Right.
We're assuming the extra point actually in that one. But yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Like that 6 to 7 range. Give me I get it.
I think anything more than a touchdown would make me very nervous. But again, I love Utah in this game. I think that they're a chance to prove who they are again.
They've quietly done it. Iowa State's looking great. Kansas has shown some success. Colorado's gotten all the flash lately. TCU, Baylor have been solid. Oklahoma State's a dumpster fire. K-State's a dumpster fire. West Virginia's kind of UCF, but this is a chance for Utah to get, like Arizona State won it last year, and they're quietly waiting in the wings. It's a chance for Utah to reassert themselves. Like, hey guys, don't forget about us. We had a 1-year blip, but this is going to be I think both teams trying to make a statement here. It's Texas Tech for real, and Utah trying to remind everyone that they haven't gone there.
Yeah. All right, first, let's go to one of the first 3:30 kickoffs. This one's over on ABC. It's the 3-0 Auburn Tigers. I'm excited.
There might be escorts. Might be escorts from an Auburn.
Maybe it's Hugh Freeze program. Yeah. I'm not speculating there. Versus 3-0 Oklahoma Sooners. You got me all tripped up here. They're 6.5 point home favor. Over under is set at 47.5. John Mateer is now, I believe him and Carson Beck are the two betting Heisman favorites. I don't think anyone could have imagined John Mateer fitting this well, this quickly in for Oklahoma. And then we've also seen a resurgence of Jackson Arnold at Auburn, completing almost 70% of his passes here. That was something they struggled with there. He hasn't had a takeover game, but he's been helped by a great run game with Jeremiah Cobb there for Auburn. Fresh. Jackson Arnold's going back to Norman, Oklahoma. I don't know. I think this is a turning point for both of these programs of who might be in that competitive mix in the SEC.
Oh, there's so many storylines in this game. The Jackson Arnold revenge game coming back to Oklahoma, where he was the number 1 prize recruit, supposed to be the savior there after Caleb left, and just keep the whole thing rolling. That obviously flamed out very quickly. You have Brett Venables fighting for his life, has all the transfer portal guys coming in. Defensively, he's always been a great I'm going to say close to a genius. He's been very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. Offense has kind of struggled when he's been there. Can the offense show up in another big game? They looked good versus Michigan, but there were many times where Mateer made some mistakes that led that weak market Michigan defense keep the game tight. This time they're going in against more of an experienced quarterback other than Bryce Underwood making his second or third start on the road. You're going to have to be prepared for that defensively and execute the entire time. That whole crowd, you're going to have to be ready to be fired up, which I think they'll be lathered and ready to go. And then look at Hugh Freeze. There's a lot of drama around the program at Auburn, playing a lot of golf during the offseason, recruiting issues, remaking this entire team, using the portal to hit it up there as Cam Coleman. Eric Rutherford's questionable based on the most recent injury report coming out Wednesday night. That's tonight, we're reporting on Wednesday. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be able to be as explosive as normal? Can Auburn finally win a big football game? I can't remember the last time Auburn actually won a big football game, much less on the road. This is a chance to get them back on the map and be prepared. Because as we go, Auburn still has a tough schedule right down the way. If you get a win here, it builds momentum. If you get a loss, is doubt going to start creeping in of here we go. Maybe yes, maybe no. I think the last big game they won was beating A&M last year in a massive shootout. But I don't really consider that a big win because you were already scrapped to that point. It was more of an upset. It wasn't a big win to keep your program building forward. And this is a big change. What does Hugh Freeze pull out? How does he attack this Oklahoma secondary vertically? Losing some of the players from the defense last year, have they fully replaced them and gotten themselves prepared to be able to take on a big challenge? Michigan's passing attack was putrid at best. That really wasn't much of a threat for that secondary. Can they overhaul? Can they improve? Can they get the defense in front, ready to get after and apply pressure? Hugh Freeze runs that pace. He runs the ball. He throws the ball when he's right. This is going to be an exciting challenge of offense versus defense, personalities. And then John Mateer, The last time out we saw, he was good for Michigan, but he had some mistakes late that kept the game close. Has he learned from those mistakes? I think Michigan's defense is better than Auburn's defense, but I'm saying Auburn's defense might have to play with an offense. They're going to take more risks. They have the chance to be able their offense to be able to score. Unlike Michigan, when defense probably had more of a shell, provided some confusion, maybe they're jumping more routes and giving them some different looks because they know their offense can be able to score. This game will be very fast paced. I'm actually just thinking it's going to be high scoring. I don't think Brent Venables' defense is going to be able to put up a shutout. I think they're going to give up like maybe close to 30 points. This game is going to be won in the fourth quarter on which quarterback can buck up and calm their nerves for all four quarters. They're going to have mistakes. How do they bounce back? We saw last week in Georgia, Tennessee, Gunner and Joey Aguilar, they were throwing bows back and forth. Their teams were throwing bows back and forth. We're going to get that kind of a game where you're going to have to be prepared. You might make a mistake early. How do you mentally recover from that and keep the drive going and keep your team in the football game? Brent Venables' defense, what creativity does he bring? DJ Turkin has always been a hit or miss guy, and him being the defense coordinator for Auburn presents me some questions. It always has. Sometimes he thinks he's too smart and smartest man in the room, and he makes some terrible calls. He has a goofy smile the entire time, which is also kind of creepy. But can he actually get one stop on Mateer early and get in his head? If he does, add as Arbuckle as the offensive coordinator, and Mateer sort of reevaluate that. This game is full of intrigue, full of suspense. 3:30, everyone's going to be watching. I've gone back and forth on this all day long, all week, because it can really go both ways. I think the 6.5 is too much for the Sooners to cover. I think Oklahoma wins, but they don't cover the 7 or the 6.5. I think that's a 3-point ball game, like a 31-28, 34-31, somewhere in there where we're going to see a lot of movement back and forth, back and forth. But I trust Mateer more than I trust Jackson Arnold. I think the emotions for him coming back to Oklahoma at some point are going to cause him to make a mistake just because he's trying to do too much.
I think this is one of those type of games where you cannot judge it by the first quarter of what's going on. Because I think Jackson Arnold, you're right. He's going to come in for a revenge game. He's going to be all jacked up. He's going to be hyped up. I would not be shocked to see Auburn put up 2 quick touchdowns on Oklahoma in the first quarter. But let this game settle in. This is the type of game that you want to kind of get the feel of it almost in the second quarter. I think the second quarter is more of a general sign of how this game is going to turn out. Not so much the first quarter. The interesting thing when I looked at Auburn, they're getting majority of their pressure from the outside of their defensive line. The defensive ends and the linebackers are getting majority of their defensive pressure. The difference is that John Mateer is going to force Auburn to play a different style of football than they've had to play so far, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You take a look at the Baylor game, and Sawyer over there at the quarterback for Baylor he threw the ball all over the place, but he wound up being forced to stay in that pocket and stay there. Is Auburn able to spy John Mateer and keep him as a pocket present in the quarterback? The 160 yards rushing so far, I think, is a big deal in this one. I think the fact of John Mateer, what can he do on his feet? On the opposite side for Oklahoma, while Brent Venables' defense has been fantastic, they have yet to force a turnover on the season. They have one forced fumble, but they didn't recover it. They're -5 in the turnover margin. Jackson Arnold, while, again, he had his issues while at Oklahoma last 2 years, he never was a guy who turned it over a bunch, wasn't a high interception guy. He does take care of the football. Is Oklahoma able to win the turnover battle in this game? Because if you spot a first quarter Auburn surge, and then in the second or third quarter, you give them an extra possession here or there, all of a sudden, Auburn's going to be in this football game to win it. So it's going to come down to, is Oklahoma going to force Auburn to change what they do defensively? And are they able to get Jackson Arnold to make a turnover or two here or force an fumble and get an extra possession by themselves? Or is Auburn able to take advantage of Mateer maybe being careless with the football? I think the other guy you got to watch out for fresh, Torrey Blaylock, because when you're inside the 20 on the 20s, kid can run the football. They kind of turn to Mateer once they get into the red zone, especially with the quarterback draws as well. You take a look at his 4 touchdowns, but Mateer does have that long of 51 yards, which was impressive as well. So I'll be intrigued to see how this goes. I like Oklahoma too in this game. I like Oklahoma at home. I am scared of the 6.5 though. I'll touch that 6.5. I actually probably would stay away from this game because I think there's too many additional factors with it.
Yeah, this will be a very tough game to even bet. I know I'm not betting it this week.
I'm not either.
Parlay. I'm not taking it straight up because it is so volatile that anything could really happen.
Right. All right, Fresh. Let's go to the Big Ten. This one is the opposite game on 3:30 on CBS. It's the Wolverines. They're 2-1 on the season. They had a big loss at Oklahoma. Came back and beat up a slappy last week, Central Michigan. And they're going to Nebraska. Nebraska is 3-0 on the year. This is the big game for Matt Rule. Does not have a win against a top 25 opponent. Yeah, I think it's 0-16 or 0-17 right now.
It ain't good.
It ain't good. Right now, the Wolverines are a 2.5-point favorite. Over-under is set at 45.5. Rayola's looked okay. He's looked pretty good there. I think this is a hostile environment, though, they got to go into for the Wolverines. So what do you got from them versus the Cornhuskers?
First Underwood, you already been to Nolan this season. You've had a hostile road environment. Did you learn from that experience? The last time I saw you and Justice Haynes were barking at each other and getting pretty heated on the sideline. And you were throwing some terrible throws, never going 4 yards past the line of scrimmage on most of them. Very dysfunctional. Can you learn from that experience and show up on Saturday? Can the entire offensive staff show up and understand what they've learned? Even though Sharon Moore's not there, he's still serving a suspension. Has that coaching staff learned from that experience in Norman? Has Wink Martindale learned that he might have to change his defensive coaching style to keep the game tight because offense is not as prolific as it has been the past few years? This is a chance right now for Michigan to grow up. Justice Haynes is going to have to see the football a lot. You cannot put this game in Bryce Underwood's hands, even though this is top quarterback recruits in the past two classes going at each other. You can't speed into that hype or that headline and try to have them go throw for throw because Rayola has more talent, not much, but more talent on the outside than Underwood does. And I don't think Underwood has the full experience and maturity to even handle it. Rayola hasn't looked that great, but he's still much more polished as a quarterback at the college level in a big game so far. He's actually faced Ohio State on the road. He hopefully has learned from an experience and be able to take it to the next level. But the real overlying arching factor, as you kind of brought up earlier, if not now, when for Nebraska? If not now, when for Matt Rule? You bark, it's year 3, all this chatter about Nebraska this and Nebraska that, we're back, it's the standard, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you lose this game, no one's going to care anymore. You got your quarterback. You got Dana Holgorsen as the offensive coordinator. You've had this is year 3 of that rebuild. Go out there and prove it. You almost did it last year at Ohio State. But when you went to Indiana early in the year, you got boat race. I mean, absolutely embarrassed. Give me something. Come out here and try to win this football game. You played tough for Colorado, yeah, even though it wasn't a great Colorado football team. You bucked up and you came after Shador, you came after Travis Hunter, and you won the game. I need that kind of Nebraska to show up on Saturday. Lincoln's going to be fired up. That state's ready to rock and roll. The fan base never shies away from attending a game. That place is going to be packed in red, ready to go. Will the team actually show up for once? The Blackshear defense has got to be there. If the defense shows up and get after Underwood's forcing turnovers, you're going to be in a great spot. If that defense is non-existent on Saturday and they're allowing Underwood and Justice Haynes the entire offense for Michigan to at least move the football around, you're in some serious trouble because I don't think you're not going to score 30 points on Michigan. You need your defense to shorten the field and cause turnovers, maybe score once and allow for short drives or field goal opportunities. And if that's not there, you're in some serious trouble. This is the all or nothing right now for Michigan and for Matt Rule. You've got to show up. And if you don't, no one's going to take you seriously anymore. It was great. It was cute at Baylor. It was real cute at Temple. But now you're in the Big Ten. You've got to show up and you've got to elevate your standard, not just play to a standard. In the end, I'm actually taking the Nebraska money line. I think this is the one time, if this was a different Michigan football team, even later in the year, I think Michigan would grow up. But right now, Michigan football team has not looked good. They had issues last year against better football teams. I think that talent is even less now than it was last year. That allows Nebraska to find a way to win this game. It's going to be ugly. It will be painful to watch. If you love rugged defensive football, you'll love it. 17-10, just ugly, knock them, rock them, sock them, run the football. We're not going to have high completion percentages. We're not going to have spectacular plays on offense. We're just going to have Nebraska having enough guys on their side to survive and to finally prevail. And maybe that'll springboard them. But I still see Michigan and I see Underwood having all the tools right now to get it done. Their defense will play tough, but their offense just doesn't have enough guys right now. Underwood will make a mistake in the fourth quarter that'll basically steal the game. Nebraska wins a close one, but they finally break through.
I know that the media and everyone is going to go, this is Raiola versus Underwood. This is the Wolverines versus the Cornhuskers. Really, in my eyes, Fresh, the conversation needs to be Emmett Johnson versus Justice Haynes. Which one of those running backs is going to have a day? I have a feeling that we're going to walk away on Sunday morning and we're going to check out a box score. If you didn't get a chance to watch the game, or you're going to watch the abbreviated game here. And you're going to see one of those two running backs have an absolute day in this football game. For some reason, my gut is telling me it's Emmett Johnson. I've watched a little bit with him. I watched how Nebraska's offensive line was coming together, and I saw how hard he was running the ball, especially that week one game when everyone was watching them. All the eyes were on Nebraska at the time. I understand your competition with Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati is not like awful. They're 2-1 on the year. But again, it's not the same as the Wolverines here. But Emmett Johnson was one of the true difference makers in that game. And I think this is going to be the game that he's a difference maker in. This is the moment where not having Sharon Moore for the Wolverines has a huge impact. Keeping the defense together, keeping the offense together, keeping your team together, being that cohesive part. When things go bad, the players have to look to their coaches. And when you don't have the guys sitting at the front of the bus, driving the bus, then the bus goes off the road and runs into a ketchup factory. Okay? Because you run into a sea of red. What? You don't like my ketchup factory analogy?
Running into a ketchup factory. Played at Heinz Field, the red. It's just a very funny way of saying a sea of red.
I've actually visited a ketchup factory in Fremont, Ohio. There's a ketchup factory out there. Anyways, you go into a ketchup factory and you see this Nebraska team and you see what they're able to do. I think the black shirt defense is starting to come back a little bit. Now, at the same time, too, that black shirt defense better contain Justice Haynes. I would make Bryce Underwood beat me. I would. Now, a year from now, 2 years from now, that's probably not a smart game plan. But as a guy in his fourth start as a true freshman, yes, I am making the freshman quarterback throw the football and beat me. I am selling out to stop the run, because if Justice Haynes starts going off in this game, I'd say Justice Haynes has a $165 in this game. There's no way Nebraska's winning it. So again, I'm making Bryce Underwood beat me. If the freshman rises to the occasion, wonderful. But this isn't New Mexico State. This isn't whoever other Central Michigan. This isn't some slappy you're playing. This is a conference game. This is the Big Ten. This is in a tough place to play. Lincoln's not easy. Like you said, that's one of the better fan bases. They support their team through thick and thin. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it for the Wolverines. Now, again, I don't necessarily, I like Nebraska money line in this. And if I'm getting plus 2.5 too, I'll take the plus 2.5 as well.
Yeah, Nebraska has the extra motivation. It's not we're not getting the Michigan rah-rah of like, hey, we're being hunted because someone says we cheated, but we didn't cheat. But yeah, you really did. It's all out in the open now. Like that whole us against the world mentality is gone. The guy who's taking over now, when he went to Charlotte, his teams were getting boat raced left and right. He walks around with his sleeves off like he's a rich, Bill Belichick. He can't coach. He's He's a figurehead. There's no motivational factor. The players have to be motivated. There's none of that rah-rah nonsense, us against the world. Mel Rule and then that Nebraska team, they've been building to this game. This has been circled on the radar. It wasn't Cincinnati. It wasn't the OC Slappies. It's this week. And this has to be the breakthrough game.
I think it will be. All right, Fresh. Let's go to one of the more unique games of the weekend. People are probably sleeping on this one. It's a 3:30 kickoff on ESPN. It's the Tulane Green Wave. They're 3-0 on the year. They have looked impressive at times. Ole Miss is 3-0 as well and has looked all right, I guess. They look okay. I have some notes about what they're doing at Ole Miss. I don't know. All right. Is it wild? Is Ole Miss on upset alert here, Fresh, or is Tulane just an upstart program that's going to get slapped by one of the big boys?
Well, Tulane's been on the up and up for the past 3 years. Obviously, they got the real big start by going to the Cotton Bowl a few years back and beating USC. John Summerall, the heck of a coach. They have Jake Retzlaff now at quarterback. It's going to come down for the American Conference. And I already picked, I'm going to say right now, I already picked Tulane to win the American Conference and get the Group of 5 bid. Well, right now, it's going to come down to we're on pace to have a USF Tulane meeting for the American title and probably the winner going in and getting that playoff bid. So this is a huge game. Now, Tulane has already beaten Duke and Northwestern, so they have a Big Ten and ACC win under their belts. The Ole Miss game might be biting off a little more of a chew, but based off of the way USF got smoked at Miami and beat what we're seeing in the fledgling Florida program, if they can keep this game close to Ole Miss, voters, committee members might see this as a benchmark down the road, as a splitting hairs, deciding factor sort of thing. If both teams are meeting for a championship or both teams don't, or however it plays out, like this might be a factor in deciding how they rank them and how they sort of stand up in the rankings, etc. So it's a very important game for Tulane. Ole Miss last week, offense looked phenomenal. It wasn't Austin Simmons came in late. The starting quarterback was a backup play for him. The two of them put on the show. They shredded the Arkansas defense. They moved up and down the field all they wanted. The problem is their defense was a sieve. And if it wasn't for a fumble on the second to last drive of the entire game, the last Arkansas drive, they'd probably lose that game because Taylor Green and the Hogs were running left, running right, throwing left, throwing right, doing whatever they wanted to do. It was going to be a last team gets the ball, wins the ball game. And Arkansas actually held Ole Miss to a field goal. They could have gone down and scored a touchdown and won the ball game. I have serious concern about Ole Miss's defense. Unfortunately, Tulane's not bad as an offensive powerhouse. They built defense at first. They're not going to score 70 points. If they can get going and control the game on the ground and Retzlaff can make some key third down passes, it can make things interesting. But John Summerall on that defense for the Tulane Green Wave are going to have to tackle in space and hold Ole Miss to field goals, not touchdowns. They're not going to shut out Ole Miss. If they can keep them at under 30 or 30 or below, that is a win. That's how good Ole Miss's offense is. The real challenge is Jake Retzlaff and that Tulane offense. Can they manage the clock? Can they put together sustained long drives, chew up clock, and finish them with touchdowns? Well, let their defense rest, especially that secondary, because they're going to be running all over the field on Saturday afternoon in Oxford. You also know with Tulane being 3-0 and actually getting some notoriety, Lane's going to want to try to put on a show. This is not playing Southeast Louisiana State University or East Texas A&M or Middle Tennessee State or Southwest Idaho State. Tulane has a name. People know who they are. They went and they won a New Year's Six bowl game 2 years ago. This is a chance for him to put a number up there on the board, impress the voters, and say, you know what? Our defense, we're still here. We haven't gone anywhere. We had all those players leave the program last year. We are still here, and we are going to be a threat. I expect a lot of fireworks. I have seen the number come down. It was 12 and it was 14.5. Now it's 10.5 as of this afternoon on Hard Rock Bet. Ole Miss's offense, if Austin Simmons is there, I want to see what he can do consistently. I think they're okay with both quarterbacks, whether it's the first or the Simmons or the backup. I do have concerns about their defense. And if their defense in this game where Tulane gives up 28 or more, that's going to pose very, very bad to them from SEC play. It might actually be their downfall, but they need to come out here and put up a number and get a win to overcome that defense and make sure that offense is ready to rock and roll at all levels when they start getting the bigger games down the road. In the end, I actually think Tulane's going to keep this thing close for about 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, the depth of Ole Miss will allow them to pull away, and I actually think they cover the 10.5. If it was anything more than 13.5, I would have concerns. But 10.5, I think, is okay. If the number's gone down, I felt more comfortable with it. If it was 2 touchdowns or more, the Tulane offense slow playing and Jake Westphal, the quarterback, would have me a little bit worried about that. But being that 10.5, you can win by 13, get a late field goal, top it off at home. I think that I'm real comfortable with them covering the 10.5. But Westphal is going to be a major big factor in this ballgame. He had 3 rushing touchdowns last week, and he's been in big games at BYU. If he can manage it and they can slow play it and make it ugly and muck it up, it could be an interesting day for Tulane. But I like Ole Miss covering the 10.5.
Fresh. I think Ole Miss is a fraudulent 3-0. Again, they struggled mightily with a average Kentucky team. Kentucky's not terrible. They're not great. They're average. They struggled at Kroger Field against that Kentucky team. Last week, you were right. And again, I thought the point you make about this Ole Miss defense, it is abysmal. Like, it is Pepto.
I mean, Taylor Green's good, but it was really bad defense.
Right. I think the matchup I'm most interested to watch, though, and again, folks, these are the type of things that you want to look for when you're watching this game on TV. Defensive back Javier White versus Harrison Wallace III. Harrison Wallace III is the leading receiver for Ole Miss. It's him and then like 200 yards and then their secondary receiver. This is the primary target for Ole Miss's offense. Javier White, 3 interceptions on the year so far. A pick in both the games versus Duke and Northwestern. One of the games he had 2 interceptions there. That's going to be the interesting matchup to watch. Is he able to get his hands on the ball? Is he able to get Austin Simmons right now has thrown 4 interceptions on the year. So the kid is prone to turnovers in 3 games on the season. And one of those games is a flappy Georgia State. Okay, so
Lane Kiffin was throwing out things that Georgia State actually beat Tennessee. He was trying to throw some shades. I remember Georgia State.
Right. So again, I'm going to watch that matchup in this football game to see which one of those guys comes out on top. If White is not able to cover him, if he's not able to make, I'm not saying you got to completely stop him because again, a receiver of Harrison Wallace III's talent isn't going to be completely turned off in the game. But are you able to limit his amount of catches? Is he able to get like 5 catches for 65 yards, or is he able to get 7 catches for $110? You know, that's the kind of difference in this football game that I want to know. Tulane's defense is very intriguing to watch because of how well they do slow the game down. And Ole Miss is going to want to play this as a tempo game here. Reslap is the difference maker, man. He is their true X factor in this game because he's only been at Tulane for a little over a month now. How well does he truly know that offense? I think he could keep this game close single-handedly because of his experience there, and especially with Tulane's defense. But I'm with you. The 10.5 makes it murky for me. I'm going to go with Ole Miss in this game. But again, I'm with you. Anything more than 10.5, I like Tulane to cover. Like, I'm right at, again, 9.5, 10.5. That's right where I'd probably feel comfortable with Ole Miss. Anything more than 10.5, I probably would take Tulane in the points.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun little ball game. It's going to be a good test to start with. USF, they ran into a juggernaut, and Miami is pissed off, and they were going to make a statement. This is also a chance for Tulane to show, like, all right, people are watching this. Nobody was really watching the Duke game. Nobody was really watching them play Northwestern week 1. There's going to be a good chunk of eyes. Obviously, there's a lot of good 3:30 games. There's going to be a good chunk of eyes watching them or flipping back and forth. They're going to pay attention. Can you make a statement? Can you impress some of those voters who are sort of like, all right, now I'm actually starting to get out of my hibernation and looking at teams, especially the group of 5, where they shake out. You know, ironically, 2 of the best group of 5 teams are in the same conference, but you never know how the season's going to play out. Make a statement here. Show you're competitive. There's a reason why you have Ole Miss, Northwestern, and Duke on your schedule. It's to make a statement and show you what to play teams and have people remember you when the committee's voting at the very end of the year.
Yeah. Bryce, we need to have an AP vote. I'm just saying. This show needs an AP vote to bring
some voters are pretty terrible.
Yeah, just to bring some respect and dignity back to the Associated Press poll.
Well, I think their respect is gone. It's just
right.
People are getting a chance to vote, and I don't have Ole Miss ranked in my top 25. I have maybe an honorable mention because they're 3-0, but they are not getting a top 25 spot. And this game, if they beat Tulane, it's going to take them to really put up a big number for them to get respect and other teams to have losses for them to move in my top 25. I've just not seen it yet.
Right. And that's why we would bring respect and honor back to the AP vote. Two perfect guys to do it. All right, Fresh, let's go to another game. This one's on Fox. This is at 7:30 kickoff. Arizona State, the Sun Devils are 2-0. They had that big loss at Mississippi State with all the cowbells. Baylor 2-1 on the year. They played Auburn tough. It looks like Auburn's a little bit better than a flaming bag of dog poop, like I said back then. So, Fresh, with Baylor coming in here, they beat SMU in a shootout, a truly classic game. They blow out Samford, not Stanford, Samford. And now they get at Arizona State at home here. The Sun Devils are kind of licking their wounds a little bit, but Sam Leavitt is still a very good quarterback. You see what he's doing on this year. Raleigh Brown, man, talk about a kid who stepped up for Cam Scatabo a little bit. You take a look at what he's doing on the ground. He's maybe not the receiving threat that Scatabo was, but man, he's been kind of a beast in that run game along with Leavitt. And then always the amazing Jordan Tyson, who is an All-American from us, and rightfully so. Pretty amazing him. And then you got Baylor with Sawyer Robertson and over 1,000 yards passing so far, 10 touchdowns. This is really like this game and really excited for it.
Oh, first off, take the over.
Take the over.
September 15th, our Rock bet had over and under 59.5. It's probably changed. I didn't check this afternoon. But regardless, take the over. Baylor can't play defense. That's my question. Can Baylor actually stop someone? In 3 games, they've allowed 90 points. That's Auburn and SMU have been 2 of them, 2 high prolific offenses. Still, you're going to average 30 points a game. And you go against an Arizona State team who is pissed off after losing on a Hail Mary or a broken coverage, great play by Mississippi State on the road. They know that, hey, they're ushered out of the top 25 with that loss, and they have to make a statement to get themselves back in. This is their chance. If they don't, it's only 0-1 in the league, and a lot of things can happen in the Big 12. But from a national perspective, it kind of like, all right, they were just Stan Stadler last year, and maybe they are just they're coming back down to earth a little bit. Can they really get over that narrative and actually supplant themselves back in that Big 12 race, put themselves back on the same level as a Utah, a Texas Tech, or, hey, the best team in the league, Iowa State. So this is a chance right here for Arizona State to really get themselves under it. Sam Leavitt and Jordan Tyson and that entire offensive collection of players. Can they come out and make a statement on the road versus Baylor? Dave Aranda, we've been waiting for him to kind of get things going. They look somewhat competitive versus Auburn. Then it fell away. But they have Sawyer Brown. They have a great running back there in Washington. Can they keep pace? They did it versus SMU. Great win versus an ACC foe. Can they up and now in conference go out and get themselves the dub, which actually means a little bit more. It keeps you in that race for the team potentially playing the title game. It gives you a tiebreaker. There's a lot going on. This game is going to come down to the fourth quarter. There are going to be ebbs and flows. We talked about earlier, the first 4, you're going to see a lot of craziness. The second quarter is going to settle in. 2 good quarterbacks, 2 very experienced quarterbacks. Sam Leavitt and Sawyer Robertson have been playing for a long time. The 2 of them, who will make the first mistake? This could even be a last possession game. Who has the wherewithal, the statistical fortitude to lead the team down with all on the line? Baylor's running game is the key. If they can maintain drives, keep the clock moving, especially late with a lead, that's where Washington can really pay dividends because he's a much more reliable back. Arizona State doesn't have Gene Scatabo who can hand to and feed a rock down in the end of the ball game and bleed it out and go on death march. This is a different kind of flip the switch, and Baylor is that favorite now. They have the running back. They have the punching bag to drive down late in the football game. Can their defense still just get one stop in the game? Kenny Dillingham, your offensive coach, Dave Aranda, defensive coach. How do your staffs look at the opposite side? how does Baylor's offense versus Arizona State's defense compare and bounce back? This gives me exhausting to watch because there's going to be so many points. I just think that the moxie and the veteran guidance of Arizona State allows them to prevail. They have won. They went toe to toe with Texas. They won a Big 12 title last year. They went from dead last preseason pick. That right there and the extra motivation of that loss at Starkville, at Mississippi State is going to carry them forward. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be high scoring. It's going to be a lot of defense. We might have 1,000-yard total offense. Arizona State's going to win 45-41. We're going to have 86 points and over 1,000 yards total offense. Whoever's running the scoreboard, get prepared. There's going to be a lot of commercial breaks, a lot of scoring. It's going to be a 4-hour plus football game. This is going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a classic college football game where it's just points. But Arizona State will find a way to go into Texas and beat Baylor in a very, very eventful football game on Saturday night.
Fresh, so this is going to be one of those games that is going to be video game level. You ever seen the meme where the kids got, or I don't know if it's a meme or college football thing, where there's these two old elderly couple, they're sitting in their rocker chairs in the living room, and the kid has put on it was with College Football 25, the video game. And he put on like the coaches mode where you could view the game like you're viewing it as a TV broadcast. And they seriously thought that they were watching a football game. They're cheering as the game goes along, like they're watching a pro football game. I get a feeling that like the rest of America is going to be like that elderly couple watching this game because it's going to be like watching a video game. It is going to be like playing on freshman mode in College Football 26, where you're able to throw the ball over the field, or you're going to be able to run the football over the field. I think you went low on 1,000 yards of total offense. I think it might be closer to 1,200 yards of total offense. This is going to be, if you like offense, this is the game that you want to watch here. It also might be a game where I go, if I had someone who was brand new to college football, come here, let me show you something. Let me show you why this is entertaining as all get out and why this is. Because Baylor versus Arizona State is going to be that. Now, my question came down to, is Baylor able to protect the quarterback in this? You take a look, Arizona State has 11 sacks on the season already. Are they able to get to Sawyer Robertson? He's already taken 6, although he is able to throw out pressure. Again, 62% completion rating there. This could be a very, very interesting game for it here. I was thinking very hard which one I wanted to go with. And I wound up with a pick. I originally was going with with Arizona State. I'm scrolling through YouTube earlier, and there's an old video with Mike Leach in it, and he was ranking the Pac-12 mascots, and he was talking about the mythical powers of the Arizona State Sun Devils. And you know what? I feel like that was a sign because he said in there that we needed to get a Harry Potter person to study the mythical creature of the Arizona State Sun Devils. Well, if it's a mythical creature, give me a bear over a Sun Devil, because I know I've seen a bear before, but I don't necessarily know if I've ever seen a real Sun Devil. So I'm going with the real animal in this one. I think the Baylor Bears are going to tear into them. I honestly like Baylor covering the 2.5 in this game too. I really do.
I mean, this is going to be a fun one. Buckle up. It's a night game. So after that 3:30, 4 games out or 5 games out at the same time, you're going to have this and our next game all sort of squared away in that late evening hour.
I would say this though, Fresh. Whoever wins this game, I would seriously love to get a DeLorean time machine, go back to our college days, and just be able to get our college level self and be on campus to whichever team wins this game. Because I think that campus is going to be a blast.
If we're doing that, then I really hope Arizona State wins, because I got a feeling that party would be a lot of fun.
I think Baylor would be a lot of fun too if they win this game. But Arizona, the scenery may be better out in the desert.
Just going to put it there. Arizona State would be a little more entertaining if we were back in college and they had a big win.
Yeah. Different level of scenery. Again, desert, scenery versus
Atlanta game.
Texas. Yeah, and Waco.
Waco.
All right. Let's go to our last game of this week here. The Fighting Illini, they're 3-0 on the year. They have looked impressively good. Indiana, 3-0 as well on this season. You take a look at Indiana, though. Win over Old Dominion by 13 points. Kennesaw State, they blew out, and then they blew out Indiana State. We don't really know what in the world this Indiana team really is. Illinois has looked good, especially in the second half of that Duke game. But it is nice to see Indiana wasn't just a one-hit wonder, hopefully.
Whoa.
They start off 3-0 at least.
Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. We know nothing about Indiana. And their best running back is injured. Like they're literally played two FCS teams, one that was the worst team in all of college football. Well, Sun Belt team and FCS team, two Sun Belt teams. And one of them was the worst team in all of college football last year. We know nothing about Indiana. Yes, they have Fernando Mendoza. Yes, they have Elijah Surratt. They brought back some players, but we know nothing. This is the game that they've been prepared for since the end of last season. Since they got beat by Notre Dame, this has been their prep game. What are we going to see? They've just gone through the motions the past 3 weeks. You're going to find out what Kirk Cignetti and Indiana Hoosier football is all about. Are they last year's team, or are they just playing a bunch of slappies and trying to run up scores and make them look great? Yes, Mendoza, he had a solid run at Cal. We're going to find out what he can do against Illinois defense, which is very, very good. Luke Altmaier, you were brought in to Champaign for this football game. You guys went out and beat South Carolina last year. You've used that as a springboard, but now you need to deliver, because this is basically a de facto college football playoff quarterfinal game. Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State are making the playoff, folks. The winner of this game has a major, major upper hand in getting that fourth spot. It can be very, very tough for the Big Ten to get 5, so you need to come in this ball game and get a win. Indiana, you have to win this game because you have trips to Oregon and Penn State also on your schedule. If you don't get this win, 9-3 is realistic, but 3 losses to your 3 ranked opponents with a terrible out-of-conference schedule is going to do you no favors. Illinois, you have USC and Ohio State left, and a Final Four game should be a cakewalk. So if you go in here and you can get a win on the road, you're locking yourself basically in the playoff. Even if you go 10-2 and lose to USC at Ohio State, you're probably going to get in because you've gone in and got a big win. Brett Bielema, you're a rugged, tough, grind it, muck it up, powerful kind of coach. You're also very underrated. That was given to Nelly the great love to got in the end of the playoff last year. This is your chance to really steal the stage. Yes, there's that fun situation last year of you and, Shane Beamer kind of fighting on the sideline or jawing at each other in the bowl game. You have to put up here. Are you going to probably beat Ohio State? Probably not. But you can come in here and make a statement on the road and lock yourselves into the playoff team. That's going to be a huge boost because you have that back pocket win the rest of the year. You don't have to worry about facing Penn State or Oregon. You can put yourself in the playoffs just like Indiana did last year. They didn't have to worry about facing anyone else. They just had Michigan in a down year and then Ohio State, and they played, versus Ohio State, but they were able to beat Michigan and put them in a good spot. You have your moment here. If you miss the moment, who knows what USC is going to be? Ohio State's probably, people are still questioning the program. Go in there and take care of business. Indiana only has that benefit of the doubt. Illinois' chance to get it done. And not only winning in Champaign, but you have a chance to go on the road in a hostile environment at night and get it done. I actually trust Luke Altmaier over Fernando Mendoza, and it's not by much, but I have because he's more a veteran of this team. This would be the first real football game Mendoza has at Indiana. Indiana is -6.5. I am taking Illinois straight money line to win the ball game. Give me Brett Bielema. Give me that defense, which I trust more than Indiana's defense. I trust them to put bigger offensive linemen on the field and run the football and grind the clock, muck it up. They're not going to get in the shootout. It's going to actually be very similar to Indiana last year at Notre Dame or Indiana at Ohio State. The offensive line and the defense for both those teams are what dominated. They were able to stay in long drives, wear out Indiana, and abuse their lack of depth and keep that offense on the sideline that can be volatile and be able to dictate the football game in their turn. Do not let Indiana get wild with the football and start scoring tons of points. Dictate them on your terms. Be more physical and trust your defense. And that's what Illinois is going to win on Saturday night in Bloomington, Indiana.
All right, Fresh. So Brett Bielema, large American, as they would say out of the movie. Gary Busey said in the movie Black Sheep, large American, but he should be honored and hoisted on the shoulders of his players and celebrated there. Illinois knows that their season is realistically a 2.5, 3-game season. I don't know how you want to count that USC game. They know that they got to go at least 1-1 in between Indiana and Ohio State. I don't know if they have the horses to keep up with Ohio State. But again, that game is in Champaign, and Brett Bielema always has given the Buckeyes a lot of issues, especially when it's at Wisconsin. This is the game he's been preparing for. This is the game he's been looking at with Kirk Cinetti and Fernando. And that's really fun to say. Just think that Indiana doesn't have enough for this one. They had a great season last year where people were really having a hard time figuring them out. They're still a good football team. I don't think that they're a bad football team. I think they're they're a quality opponent, but they're not going to be a playoff team, I think, this year. I think Illinois is going to come in this game. Luke Altmaier is going to throw the ball all over the field. And I have a real question of whether or not Indiana's offensive line can handle the pass rush, and especially that front four of Illinois. The thing with them, you saw it in the Duke game. Duke did a really good job at the beginning of the game to minimize that pass rush, but eventually the Duke offensive linemen wore down, and all of a sudden you kept seeing, one Illinois player get in the backfield. Okay, now there's two getting around the offensive line here as well. And then all of a sudden the dam breaks for Duke and they're not able to protect the quarterback anymore. And Illinois is off to the races. I think the same type of thing is possible of happening over at Indiana, because I think this Indiana team, while they're good, they're going to have to lean real heavy on the run game, because they can't constantly have Fernando drop back a bunch of times to throw the ball, because they're not going to be able to withhold that pass rush and give him a clean pocket to throw the ball. I hate to say this, but I just got a feeling that Illinois is going to come in and blow out Indiana. Get an alternate spread and get like Illinois -3, 4, maybe even 5.
Both his coaches' egos on swagger, but if there's someone who, when Brett Bielema was at Wisconsin, they put it to people. He did not hold back. With Cignetti last year, when he had a chance, like Nebraska, he ran it up. These two coaches, they have a chance. They smell blood to water. They are going to pull it on. There is no, how to keep it nice because we want the league to look better. No, they're making a statement, because they also know they're that outlier in the Big Ten. And if Michigan beats Nebraska and keeps themselves in there, and they only lost until the end of the year and they play Ohio State, it is just to Oklahoma, Michigan might be in the conversation. So they have to come in here and make a statement. They have to put one down. You can't just beat somebody by a touchdown. You have a chance to put it up and win by double digits. You do it. So this is a very monumental game for them to sort of like announce that that there's more than 4 teams in the Big Ten consistently. And Indiana's not just a one-year wonder. Illinois is not just a blip on the radar, and they are truly a national power. You come in against a conference rival and make a statement. That's why I said it was basically a de facto quarterfinal. You come in here and take care of business now, you've already got that leg up coming into playoff time, and you have the committee remembering this matchup in a head-to-head format. So if someone's there and they have a chance, they're going to put to somebody real good. I think Illinois has the hogs up front to really dictate the line of scrimmage and drive home a clear message to the conference and in the country that they are also a very, very good football team.
Yeah, I got Illinois in this game, man. I think that looking at the 4-game stretch they're about ready to go on, Indiana, home versus USC, go over to Purdue for a game, and then get the Buckeyes on October 11th. They got to make it through 3-1. If they make it through this stretch 3-1, Illinois will be in the playoff. But they got to go 3-1 in the next 4 games. And it starts on Saturday night in Bloomington. I like Illinois. I like Illinois with a couple of points in this one. I do not think it's going to be a field goal game or anything like that. I honestly just got a feeling that Illinois is going to blow them out almost. I really do. I just don't know if Indiana has the horses to keep up with Illinois. Like, here, make a case for me. What's a player on Indiana? I know BB is out for the year with a knee injury, but like, which of their players is just the kid that would blow you away and like, this is going to be the offensive juggernaut?
It's Surratt. And that's
Surratt.
There's no one else.
And he's not even their leading receiver. Cooper Jr. is their leading receiver.
I don't think he's actually got much playing time. Like he is, right. He was felt last year. He's going to get the major run. They had to develop everybody else who can be the number 2 or 3. So get them more playing time. But we all saw what Surratt did last year. He is the number 1 guy. And when James at the line, Mendoza's going to him. So he's got to show up and have a big, big Saturday night if the Hoosiers want to win.
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm just trying to make a case in my head, but struggling with it, man. I really am.
And you know what? I think Shindetti making a big scene and doing some stuff. Columbus was a weird thing. And he might have tempted fate a little bit too much.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, hey, we're at that point. It is time for our fresh pick of the week. Fresh right now. He was a little bit off last week, just a bit outside last week with the Pitt Panthers and -6. Fresh, what do you got this week? You got to choose a team you have not picked so far in the season. Who you got?
Well, we're 3-2 on the year. We got Illinois, Hawaii, Utah as W's. And my losses, when I lose big. Georgia Southern and Pitt, they weren't even close. Those both got whooped up on pretty good. With the crazy loaded slate, I'm actually got 2 picks for you tonight. I'm going NC State money line plus 140 to win at Duke. And I'm taking the Hurricanes. I'm taking the -7.5 to take out the Florida Gators. I think that -7.5 is too low, even though Florida's only given up 2 touchdowns on defense all year long. I think that this is a chance for Carson Beck, who's never lost to Florida, whether it's starter or backup, and the Hurricanes program to also plant a flag again back in the state of Florida, back-to-back years of beating the Gators and really put them out of the misery and most likely get Billy Napier fired.
Yeah, I think that's 2 great picks, folks. Fresh said he's 3-2 on the year, so make sure you're following along with us. Follow with it of fresh picks every single preview episode. We're going to give you 2 picks of teams that he has not picked all year long. By the end of the year, we'll see how many he gets right as well. Before you head out of here, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified every single time we drop a new episode. And you guys have been listening to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're part of Spinnable Sports, so make sure you're checking out spinnablesports.com. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Like, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. Leave us that 5-star review because you guys know Fresh and we are those 2 5-star prospects. And make sure you're following us on the social media. We will be live and in person at US or UCF versus UNC there. And if you see Fresh and I walking around, make sure you just come by and say hello and let us know that you listen to the show. We appreciate all of that stuff.
Looking forward to Saturday down there at UCF with the whole gang. It's going to be a fun time. Got a great college football weekend set up for you folks. Enjoy it. Embrace it. We're 1 week closer to the bigger matchups. Conference play really getting in full swing. So actions will continue to heat up. Hit up spinnablesports.com. Hit us up on X, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Twix, but I like to use it every once in a while. Don't forget to subscribe to the Spinnable Sports YouTube channel. And until next time, we'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.